Hello everyone, my name's Stump, and this is going to be Crash 2 80% No Game Over Abuse. So, time for this is going to start when I gain control in the warp room, so I will count down to when that is if you're ready. Alright. So I got initial cutscene skip here. And 3, 2, 1, start time. Alright, so this is Crash 2 80% No Game Over Abuse, which means that I'm going to be getting to the end just by collecting all 25 crystals and defeating a boss every 5 of them. Not using the item glitch or game over abuse because those are things that break the game a little bit too much. So for most of the levels, I'm going to be moving through them using the technique that I'm doing here, which is the neutral slide spin, where I'm sliding and then letting go of the directional button and spinning at the end of the slide. And doing that preserves the momentum from the speed from the slide through the spin while letting the slide cooldown timer run. And that allows me to continuously move along the ground at sliding speed. It's also helpful because both of those are attacks, so those will get me through most enemies. And in each level I am getting the crystal. That's the only thing I need from each one. And I am skipping the mask box there because I do not want third mask form. Even though that would give me temporary invincibility, it also messes with the movement in many ways, including making the neutral side spin not work to be as fast as neutral slide spinning without third mask form is. I also am playing this on the PAL version of the game, and that is because Crash moves a little bit faster and jumps a little bit higher. There are some differences in some boss fights that make them a little bit easier to do faster, and there are some specific tricks in the final warp room that are only on this version of the game. So this is Hang 8, and in this level we'll have our first experience with movement other than ordinary ground movement. Having to ride this board up the river. And this pretty much is repeated boosting. And that timer that's running is for the extra gem in this level. If I get to the end before it runs out, there will be a gem at the end of the level that I will be avoiding because it wastes time to have Crash do the animation of throwing it up in the air in the warp room and watching it float into the right slot. And then the pits is a similar level to Turtle Woods, but it has a few extra enemy types, such as these birds. And generally when I see one of those, I'm going to be trying to jump over it to barely clear it and then spin to expand my hitbox backwards a little bit and try and get pushed forward by the bird, which is what happened there. And I go down the left path because that's the path that has the crystal on it. And losing that mask is not a problem because the 5th level is going to eat my masks when I go into it. And by slide jumping there and doing some zigzagging, I make it across there without falling into the pit. And then Crash Dash is a little bit different because this is the first boulder level where a boulder is chasing me toward the camera. So this is about knowing where the pits and electric gates are going to be. And also making sure to continuously neutral slide spin through those little buildings between the chasing sections, because otherwise Crash does an animation of like tumbling forward as if barely escaping from it, and that wastes a lot of time. And there are nitros also. Now, if this were 100%, I'd actually have to wait for the boulder to hit them because they only break when the boulder hits them and they're on screen. But we don't have to worry about that here. And then those mines don't actually directly hurt you because normally you would be barely in front of the boulder and that would be enough to cause the boulder to hit you. But thanks to the movement that we're doing, we're far ahead of it. So that's 5 crystals. And every 5 crystals will be a boss fight. So this is Ripperoo. So there are 3 phases to this. In each one, Ripperoo will bounce around the arena, put down some TNTs, then bounce around, put down some nitros, and then become vulnerable. The patterns are exactly the same every time, so all I have to do is be in the safe spot, and then slide against Ripperoo to deliver the hit as soon as possible. Another oddity about this is that when Ripperoo's bouncing around, he doesn't hurt you. And that's Ripperoo down. So 1 warp room is complete. 4 more to go. And Snowbiz is another snow level. This one has a lot more ice in it, as well as sliding penguins rather than sliding seals. And these porcupines. Normally, if you walk up to them without any special form of movement, they get their spikes out before you get to them, and then hitting them hurts you. But with neutral slide spinning, you get to them before they get their spikes all the way out, and they're vulnerable still. So that works out well. Ooh, that was a little bit scary. But we're through that. And Air Crash is another river level. Not too much different from Hang 8, except the slightly more difficult arrangements of things to avoid. Ooh. Yeah, we are fine without that. So with no mess, I gotta watch my timing here with these jumps. Whoop. There we are. Yeah, I got a little stuck in that corner, but yeah, we're through that. And now we have an entirely new type of level. Barrett is a level where I'm riding on a baby polar bear who continuously moves forward, and I can boost and jump to squeeze a little bit more speed out of this. But other than that, well, the notable thing about this is that I am not able to stop or turn around if I were to miss anything. So some of the box arrangements, such as the last 3 boxes, can be a bit of a pain in 100% runs. But since we have the crystal, all we have to worry about is getting to the end. This set of 3 boxes is what I was talking about. And then we have another boulder level after this. And this will add some new types of obstacles to deal with. So there are these electric gates. And in this level, they are just far enough off the ground so that both sliding or the spinning part will still have Crash's hitbox be low enough to get under them. But we'll be seeing these again in some other levels where that is not true. Crystal is a little bit important. And this last boulder chase here goes really crazy with the boost pads. And that's because of this arrangement of boxes at the end, including body slam box, where the extra time it would take that you're motionless to body slam that, if you're only well, if you're not neutral slide spinning, causes you to barely be far enough ahead to get all the boxes before the boulder gets there. But thanks to Our speed of movement. Boulder? What boulder? This is the first sewer level, the deal. There are these occasional pools of water that there's an electric eel periodically electrifying. Although many of them you can clear with a good jump and zigzagging. Or barely come up short and have the pool de-electrify a couple frames before you land in it, like happened at that one pool back there. And I hit the nitro in there because the resulting animation does not leave me stuck in place for a little bit, like would happen if I landed in the water. And then through this little tunnel. And that's the next set of 5 crystals finished. So it is time for the next boss, the Komodo brothers. There are 3 phases to this fight also. In each one, Mo spins Komodo Joe around the arena. At some point, Komodo Joe comes to a stop. You spin him into Komodo Mo, and then there's some knife throwing. And by your positioning, you can manipulate the bounces of Komodo Joe. So that's 2 warp rooms done. And plant food is a river level. And this has a lot more moving platforms than the other ones did. It also has another timer jump. Actually, the yellow jump. But like the other one, it only would waste time to get, so we will go around it at the end. Also a lot more nitros. I tried to land it between the TNT and the plant, but went a little bit too far and bounced off the plant. And since I have a mask, I'll use it up so that I don't have to go forward to pre-kill these plants and then go back and get on the board. And that's plant food. Sure. Alright, then we have sewer later. Another sewer level with new enemy types. These ones with glow torches. They cover a wide area when they're shooting fire around, so generally you have to wait for them unless you want to spend a mask. We have much better things to possibly use masks for at this point in the level. Like getting through those fans. And the crystal's down this left path, along with the master box, but the exit's down the right. Oh, losing that mask means that I'm going to need to wait for one of the blowtorch enemies down the right path, though. So that's sooner or later. And then we have bear down is another bear level. The arrangements of boxes are, I think, not as hard as the ones in Barrett, but that's not what matters here. Some of the gaps to cross are a little bit wider, and you actually need to boost. At least to get across the sets of multiple. And then there are also those pairs of lab assistants raising and lowering those rows of steel boxes. Those are about being ready for whether those will be up or down. What I went over there is an entrance to the secret workroom. Not something that matters in this category, but I believe that's the one that is sort of supposed to be the casual discovery of it. And now we have a new level type. Empty Ruin is a lot more small platforms with gaps between them. A lot more jumping. Oh, a little bit short on that. Something I didn't mention is that when I slide jump and spin immediately after the jump, I go a little bit higher, and that's known as a glitch high jump. And that can allow clearing some things that an ordinary slide jump won't. And one example is that it's a lot easier to clear the statue fire with one of those than with a regular slide jump. And then we have Unbearable, sort of combining bear levels with older levels. This time it being chased by much larger bears, ones that I will swiftly leave behind. But this is one of the reappearances of those electric gates where they're a little bit lower than the ones in Crash Dash. So I need to actually be on the sliding part of my neutral slide spin to safely make it under them. I'm still too tall when I'm on the spin part. final one. We have a bear of our own. But that's another 5 crystals, so we have another boss fight now. And this boss fight is probably the largest instance of RNG in this game. This is Tiny the Tiger, where there are platforms that will be hopping around, and at some point 3 of them will drop. And Tiny paused there, but there was an extra hop there. So now that's the first of 3 phases. So now only 2 will drop. And that time I was able to get an immediate drop, so that was good. Yeah, this one, only 1 platform will drop now, but pretty quickly. So hopefully it'll be something I can use. So I had to lead Tiny back around, so that wasn't the best RNG for the platforms, but that's the Tiny fight. So in this warp room, I won't be doing it in order like I did with the other ones. Because the first level, I specifically want to bring 2 masks into. Because there is a point in it where third mask form actually is useful. But I need that mask in fact to bring 2 out of this level. So by doing this level first, I will hopefully bring the 2 masks I want out of here. But those 2 mask boxes are the only ones on the level, so I gotta not get hit throughout the entire rest of the level. And that did not happen. So those exploding fruit, if you're spinning, the explosion doesn't actually hurt you. So by timing a spin as you're landing on a platform that has one that's about to explode, you can avoid having to deal with it. And then the glitch high jump will get you over those intermittent electric gates. All right, there we are. Since I didn't get the masks there, I'll do Ruination to try and bring 2 out of that one. This is another Ruins level. So I did that to reset the cycles of those rotating statues. There's the second mask. And we are now ready for hanging out their mask worm. So this is another sewer level. And after getting through this little section here, there will be another section with the hanging grids here. And after this first one, there is going to be a mask box. So I would have gotten their mask form off of that, and that would have caused me to move a lot faster along this, as well as not having to worry about the exact positions of the enemies along it. So next is Cold Hard Crash, which will be, well, something a little bit different about how we're going to do this level is that we'll actually be taking a side path, the death route, because it bypasses part of the level and is faster than the part of the level that it bypasses. So first I have to get to it without dying. Here we are. And this is almost entirely ice, which is part of the reason why it's faster to do. Sliding on ice really gets you going. Since I don't have a mask, I have to slow down for those nitros to not hit them though. And we'll go over that jump so that we don't waste time in the warp room. So that path had boxes on it, but the part of the main level that it bypasses also has boxes. So this is probably the casually hardest box gem in the game. But there's a box duplication glitch that makes that a lot easier to deal with in 100%. then the last level of this workroom is behaving, which is sort of like digging it with the ground there, the bees, the exploding fruit, but the bees move faster and there are a lot more of them. So for many of them, you're expected to go underground and let the bees get to you and then go back. But that's slow. Sure.
We have a $5 donation from Big Law. Good luck, Stump. Wish I could be down in Montreal this weekend and hang out with you all and the QSR people. Be sure to check out that poutine place down the street. It's pretty good.
Thanks. That was there an example of avoiding taking damage from the exploding fruit by spinning while it's exploding. I haven't seen the last bee try to stay around me like that before. But we're at boss number 4, and this one's probably the most involved one. So in the first phase of this, engine will periodically open up the hands of this robot. And each one of those took 10 hits to get. The spin and slide have been replaced by throwing fruit. And now these shoulders each take 5. So I got 1 and 3 there. 4 and 3, 4 and 4. So in both of those phases, I wanted to kill both of the hands or both of the shoulders at the same time. Because if I didn't do that, then the remaining one would gain a few extra hit points. And also there would be an animation where engine shakes the remaining one at you before starting to attack with it, and during that, it's not vulnerable. But we're on the last warp room now. Only 5 levels remain. And 2 of them are new types of level. This one is called Piston It Away, and it's all about the piston cycles here. And those are also the cycles with which those small enemies raise and lower their arms. And then we start to see these shrink rays. Those, if you're spinning one hits you, it doesn't affect you, but you gotta be sure that you are. And then the lab assistance with the shields. That's probably one of the more interesting sound effects in the game when you deal with those. And Rocket is a jetpack level. And the jetpack levels, of which this is one and Pack Attack level 24 is the other, have one of the PAL-specific tricks that provides an extra reason why this is the version of the game to run. And that is when we come up to these floating site work lab assistants. If you spin them once and you push forward, you go straight through them. And the plasma field at the end isn't actually there because you're never supposed to reach it. Oh. But that is specific to the PAL version of the game. The night fight's a forest level with a bit of a twist. It's dark and I need these fireflies to light the way. And these are timed so that if I were to continuously do ordinary walking movement, then each one would expire as soon as I get to the next one. So the amount of time with which I have both of them is a nice way to visualize the time that's saved by neutral slide spinning. One last section there. And that's Night Fight. 2 levels left. Pack Attack is another jetpack one, so this will be much like the other Bobith, but with some harder arrangements of obstacles and boxes. And a lot of those floating wires. Those can often put themselves in bad positions, so you gotta watch out for them. But PAL for the win. And as I was at the end of those levels, I was trying to position myself right on the landing platform so that I wouldn't have to drop onto it, which would take extra time. And finally, there's Spaced Out, which is similar to Piston It Away, but has added things like the moving platforms with harmful edges. And then there's this section that's behind glass. And if I use a glitch high jump to bounce off of this, I can get on top of the glass and neutral slide spin along it and skip the last few enemies on the boxes, well, the nitro arrangements that I would have to otherwise avoid. Then I avoided that particle by spinning it. And that's 25 crystals. So that means only the final boss fight is left. And that's also a jetpack level, and is probably one of the more anticlimactic boss fights of the Crash series. I have to catch up to him and hit him 3 times, and the 3rd hit will be timed. So that's 1. That's 2. Get ready on time. And time.
Non! Tu auras de mes nouvelles, Crash Bandicoot.
So that is Crash to any percent, no game over
Crash,
use.
à ton avis, qu'est-ce qui est arrivé à
My
Cortex?
name
Et le
is Stump,
super
and I
Cortex
hope you
Vortex,
enjoyed the
il
run.
est où?
And
Moi, je vais te le dire, il est toujours là-haut.
shout-outs to the Crash and Spyro communities. They're great people. And good luck to all the rest of the runners. And thanks to NoReset for having me do this.
Thanks for coming out. Thank you. Also, thank you for that wonderful classic speed run. Next up on the schedule, we have The Legend of K Anniversary by Little Star Joe. I'm going to send us to a ad real quick, and then we'll be back.